Yeah, I did actually grow up in Allen Park, Michigan, which normally this is, you already gave it away. Or normally I have pregnant pause and, But yeah, I grew up in Allen Park and I went to Ohio State. Everybody always asked me when I was making that decision, why in the world would you leave to go to the arch rival? And to be honest with you, I had never been to Columbus. I'd never seen Ohio Stadium, and I'd never been to the campus. I just knew that they were, the team that Michigan and Ohio State, that was the best game in the history of the world, as far as I knew when I was a kid.
Still is.
It still is. And so when I went down there, I saw that stadium, and I was just hooked. And I thought I had to, if I can call that my home stadium for 4 years, then that's where I want to be. And I can remember sitting around the room. It was the Damons, which is no longer there on Olentangy River Road, which everybody knows. And we're sitting around the room, and Coach Cooper was the head coach at the time. And there's guys like Corey Stringer, who's not here with us anymore. Luke Fickle, who I'll talk about him in a little bit. Ty Howard, some of the other guys like Eddie George were in the room at that time. These were all the great recruits that were coming in. And I was just some skinny kid from Michigan that was in the room, thankfully, to be a part of, hopefully, one of these recruiting classes these days. And Coach Cooper just asked us point blank. He said, guys, we've had a great weekend, and we appreciate you guys visiting. This is the last recruiting weekend of the year. He says, I'm going to ask each one of you, if you're seriously considering and want to commit to Ohio State, every single one in this room right now has a scholarship offer to the Ohio State University. But you got to make your intentions known right now, because we want you to know we want you, but we only want you if you guys want us too. We don't want to just, we want you to be a part of something special here. And about that time, bye-bye, Cal. And so about that time, I had already gone through my visits at Michigan and Notre Dame, and I'd been to Boston College, and I'd been to Michigan State, and then I went to Ohio State. And my dad, every single time, would tell me afterwards, because it was always, anytime you go on a recruiting trip, it comes to this culmination at the end, where in Boston, you're overlooking the harbor, and you're eating lobster, and it's this big dramatic scene, and anybody in the world would say, yeah, let's go to school here at that moment, if you're an 18 or 17-year-old kid. So I'd always look at my dad in these types of situations, and he'd always say, just calm down. Let's go back and talk about it. Let's go home, and we'll think about it. But after the visit during Ohio State was so overwhelming, so unbelievable, and we're sitting there, and Corey Stringer stands up and says, Coach, I'm coming to Ohio State. And then George stands up and says, Coach, I'm coming to Ohio State. And Luke Fickle stands up and says, Coach, I'm coming to Ohio State. And it's coming around the room, and I'm looking at my dad like, what in the world am I going to do? And he looks at me and goes, like, you better stand up. So that's kind of how I got to Columbus. A lot of peer pressure in that room. You imagine being the guy that decided, no, Corey Stringer, that's the kind of guy I don't really want on my team. I remember walking in thinking, I've never seen a kid that big in my life. He goes to high school? Really? But boy, what a trip that was. Getting a chance to be the entire recruiting experience is really something unique, and it was a special time. I've got